Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the College Football Kickoff Show, brought to you on Facebook, YouTube, and TikTok. It's yours truly, Brandon Rutherman, coming to you from the confines of home. We are continuing with the Week 7 picks. We've already been through Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. The Friday portion gets underway shortly later this evening with a handful of games. In fact, there's actually one game that's about to get underway right now, and it's leaving me to wonder, at what point do I start picking the Ivy League? Just something to think about. But for that to happen, my goodness, there's only so many games that you can pick, and the palette seems to be getting bigger and bigger all the time. Nevertheless, we got to get down to business. It's the Friday helmet selection portion of the Week 7 picks, and we are going to start things off with Duquesne, the Dukes, and the Red Flash of St. Francis. Duquesne coming in with a record of 3-2. St. Francis at 2-3. Could go either way, and I really don't have anything noteworthy to throw at you, but I suppose maybe I should. Is there anything noteworthy? Nothing. You have to bear with me here. We are doing some cheat sheet stat tracking, more or less fact checking, and we have nothing to provide for you. So you know what we're going to do? We're just going to throw the dart at the dartboard, and I believe this is the first time I've ever done this. We are picking Duquesne. Yes, the old school logo instead of the current one. I'm going with Duquesne. That's it. That's all. Moving on. Maine is taking on Delaware, and Maine comes into this thing 3-2. Delaware 5-0. This is an easy one here. Gonna go with the Blue Hens. No, these are not the Michigan Wolverines. Get your eyes checked. To my understanding, there's a quarterback named Ryan O'Connor. So far this season, he's thrown for almost 1,000 yards, has 8 touchdown passes, and 1 interception. That, to me, is telling me that Delaware, I think, wants to make a move. If they're not already in the conversation for the FCS playoffs, they most certainly will be. Murray State and Indiana State, a couple of 1-4 teams, not a lot to write home about. I'll tell you what I'll do. I'm going to take my glasses off, and I got both the helmets here in front of me. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to close my eyes, put my hand over, and whoever I pick is who I'm taking. Oh! Okay. You got to own it. Indiana State at home. It's the first time for them. I think the only way Indiana State has a real fighting chance is if Larry Bird comes out of retirement and starts throwing touchdown passes. But I digress. There's a safe pick to be found here someplace, and I'm getting warm on it. That would be Fordham and Holy Cross. This isn't much to write home about either. Holy Cross is only 2-4. They were a playoff team a year ago. Fordham is winless in 6 trips. And what the hell am I doing holding up Fordham for? That's not who I'm picking. I'm picking the Cross of the Holy Persuasion. Gonna go with Holy Cross. We really had absolutely nothing to work with on that pick. Again, these are the ones we're picking based on the collection of helmets I have in front of me. And besides, it's a lot better that way because I don't run the risk of dropping helmets. But you just never know. After all, we were dropping lanyards there for a while. We seem to have regained our form a little bit. But there is tomorrow at Cameron. Chattanooga and Furman, both at 2-3. Both were playoff teams a year ago. Somebody's got to make a move. And in doing so means a much more tougher hill to climb for the loser. With that being said, I'm taking FU. That's what they call themselves, FU, Furman University. Don't believe me? I'll buy the damn t-shirt, okay? I got my eyes on one. If I can get away with wearing Let's Go P for Austin P, then there's no reason why I can't do that with Furman. Just wait until we get to Texas. Not this week. Not tomorrow either. Got something better in mind going forward. New Hampshire and Elon. Elon with only one win, and that's not enough to make new Teslas. I'm taking New Hampshire. Thank you. North Dakota State and Southern Illinois, and I don't even really think I need to look at the, or do I? Do I need to look at records here? I already know who I'm taking. I just want to make sure that I have the, yeah, I think it's a safe bet. Go with the Bison. Go with the Bison. This is definitely a pick that doesn't need any cheat sheet stat tracking. South Dakota State, the #1 team in the FCS right now, and has been now for the better part of 2.5 seasons. They're hosting Youngstown State. Got to go with the Jackrabbits. Tennessee Tech and Southeast Missouri State. Southeast Missouri State's doing pretty well for themselves, and they may very well be a tough out if they make the FCS playoffs. Currently 5-1, and they got this Tennessee Tech team that's 2-3. I got to go with Southeast Missouri State at home, which now brings us to northern Arizona and Montana. And I have to mention Montana in part because we had 2 games that we forgot to make picks for last week. Montana was one of them. They were hosting Weber State. The other one, I believe, had Toledo and Miami of Ohio. In such instances where we forget to pick games, they count as losses, just as it would be if there were ties, which unfortunately we don't have to deal with. But those 2 games that I just mentioned count as losses if they're not picked. So now we get to northern Arizona and Montana. Montana, if there was a time to start picking up the pieces of a season in which they're 4-2, not a bad record, but it's, if you want to get back to the FCS championship, this is the time now to start to turn things up a notch. So as much as I like to go with Shakira Kwan, TGIF Carter's alma mater, and one day I will. Yeah, I know it's a fictitious character from the Key and Peele East-West Bowl sketches, but, you know, I'll throw that in there every once in a while when the mood's right. However, I am taking Montana, and I would have taken them last week, which I believe resulted in a win for the Grizzlies. So now that leaves us with only 2 more picks left. And we are looking some more. Whoops, we missed one. Here we go. Tennessee State hosting Eastern Illinois. For some godly reason, there's a force in the universe that's telling me that I should like Eastern Illinois. After all, it's a nice, black and blue. But they're only 1-5. Why would I like them? They're not winning. With that being said, Tennessee State, I got nothing left. Finally, to round out the FCS, we have Nichols, or Nichols State for those of you who still like to live in the past, and Incarnate Word, which means I got to do some more ditch digging here. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Did I mess up somewhere here? Oh my goodness. Oh, I did it again. I did it again. This time, we made the right pick. We're going back a couple picks. I ill-advisedly put the wrong helmet out for Northern Arizona. It's happening again. It happened last year, and it happened again tonight. And this time I actually caught it because I'm picking Montana to beat Northern Arizona. But ladies and gentlemen, North Alabama. Oh my God. I can't win. I can't win. I just cannot for the life of me. The boat left and I wasn't on the boat. What's the deal here? I'm just happy that I did make some fixing to the field where we didn't do an actual field store this week, and there's a good reason for it. Because to my right sits perhaps the biggest football field rug that I've ever had, and it comprises of none other than the Oregon Ducks. And on that very field lies two helmets, Ohio State and Oregon. We make the pick tomorrow. More on that tomorrow. Anyway, once again, for those of you just tuning in, North Alabama and Northern Arizona once again are caught in a major helmet snafu. Film at 11. There's your film. Montana is not playing North Alabama. They are playing Northern Arizona. And I picked Montana. I would have picked Montana again if it was North Alabama. But anyway, oh, it's going to be a lot of fun tomorrow at Cameron. Anyway, Nichols State, Nichols Bakery, nickel defense, nickel in the nickel. They're playing Incarnate Word. Do I feel the need to channel either my inner Cameo or my inner Trashman? Because I'm taking the word. No. We're already behind schedule as it is. That takes care of the FCS business. Oh my goodness. We are in for a rather interesting second half of this edition of the Friday helmet selection portion of the college football kickoff show. Oh my goodness. Anyway, before we get down to business in making the picks for tomorrow, the helmet picks for tomorrow, two games, one in which I just came across, I think, last night, that has been added to the list of helmet selections. That would be Arkansas State and Texas State, and Memphis and South Florida, which originally was supposed to have been scheduled for Friday night. But due to the events of Hurricane, is it Milton? I keep thinking Helene, but they're coming a lot quicker than the names that correspond with them. The game's been moved to 3:30 tomorrow, and it's being played in Orlando at Camping World Stadium. So while it's still a home game for South Florida, it's still technically a neutral site game. And thankfully, the wonderful people in Orlando have made things a little hospitable for South Florida. So while we're on the subject of Memphis and South Florida, we'll go ahead and get to the pick, which I'm going to go with Memphis Memphis will win here. Will put them at 5-1, making them one win away from bowl eligibility. South Florida, incidentally, looked like they were going to be the talk of the conversation, at least early on, but South Florida right now currently at 2-3. And since we mentioned Arkansas State and Texas State, we'll go ahead and make that pick really quick too. Once we find it, we got a pair of 3-2 teams going at it. And Arkansas State, some years they're very, very good. Other years, not so much. Texas State, meanwhile, a team that I think might find itself playing in what I believe would be their second consecutive bowl game. But to do that, they got to win a game like this, particularly since it's a Sun Belt game. Going to go with Texas State at home. Now we get to the business of the rest of the picks, beginning with UAB and Army. And I just picked the wrong game. Sorry about that. There we go. UAB with only one win. Army undefeated. That's an easy one. Gonna go with Army. Navy, by the way, is off this week. And I'm not sure. I want to think Air Force might be off too, but I'll look at it when we get an opportunity. Toledo and Buffalo. I was going to write Buffalo off, but they're 3-2 right now. And Toledo is 4-1. Well, I made the mistake of not picking a game involving Toledo, and we can't have that happen again. We need wins wherever we can get them, and considering it's the Mid-American Conference, I need every win I can get. I'm going to take Toledo on the road at Buffalo, staying in the Mid-American Conference for at least the next 3 games. We got Ball State and Kent. When you have 2 teams with a combined 1 win, you may as well just do it again. Let's see. Oh my God. I'm going to go with Kent. Miami of Ohio, Eastern Michigan. Next on the docket, now we got to scroll through until we find it. There we go. Miami of Ohio not having a good year this year, unfortunately. They're 1-4. Eastern Michigan 4-1, which tells me they're ready to get back into the business of bowling. Gonna go with Eastern Michigan on the black and white turf. Well, it's gray. I still call it black and white television. But Eastern Michigan at home, and that leaves us with Northern Illinois and Bowling Green. Very attractive matchup. The records, however, say otherwise. Bowling Green's got the defense. NIU has that win over Notre Dame, which may be the only thing about their season that they'll be talking about. I think the slide continues for the Huskies. I'm going to go with Bowling Green. Old Dominion in Georgia State. I don't think there will be a bowl in the future for the Monarchs. Georgia State at home. I can't say it'll be an easy one, but ODU will try. They will try to make things interesting. Maybe they'll pull a San Jose State. I don't know. We'll see. Akron? Really? Akron? Back that up. Thank you. Akron and Western Michigan. General consensus pretty much says take any opponent opposite Akron. Okay? I will. Western Michigan. And that now brings us to San Diego State and Wyoming. San Diego State could pretty much put a huge blow on Wyoming's chances of rebounding to possibly be in the conversation for a bowl bid, but both teams I don't expect to be involved in the party. Something has to give. San Diego State with 2 wins, Wyoming with just the 1. I like Wyoming at home, but patience is pretty much worn out. Can't see anything happening for either of those institutions. Then we got Ohio and Central Michigan, both at 3-2. This is a tough one to call here. So now is a good time to kind of look at anything that might jump out at me, statistically speaking. This is about as evenly matched as you could possibly want. Central Michigan, quarterbacked by Joe Labus, 7 TDs, 7 picks. Then you have Parker Navarro from Ohio, 4 TDs and 4 picks. Am I going to have to flip a coin on this one? I'm gonna go with Ohio on the road. Bingo. Probably not the right helmet for this one, but I'm going to go with Ohio because I like it. And besides, Central Michigan produced the likes of Brian Kelly and Antonio Brown, so that's enough right there. This one will be easy. Georgia over Mississippi State. Louisiana Monroe and Southern Mississippi. This is going to be a fun one to pick. Southern Miss 1-4 and ULM 4-1. And there isn't anything statistically that jumps out at me, but I'll tell you this, ULM might be finding themselves in the conversation for an early bowl season bowl bid. And I wouldn't be surprised if a trip to New Orleans might be in the offing for ULM. So I'm taking them. We now have UTSA and Rice. Boy, it has not been a good year for the Roadrunners. 2-3, Rice 1-4. I'm afraid that Rice's 2-year bowl run's going to come to an end, which means they won't be on the tree this year. And UTSA is my choice in this pick, mainly because they need to get with it here. If they want to be back in the bowl picture, there's no time like the present to get things started. I mentioned Air Force a little while ago. They're playing New Mexico, and I'm going to be making that pick tomorrow at Cameron. And that one, looking at the records, they're both 1-4. Ouch. That's not good. So what does that leave us with? Well, here we go. App State, Appalachian State, and the Ragin' Cajuns of Louisiana. I'm going to go on a limb here. Do I even dare? Well, okay. I think this will manage. Ben Wooldridge, head quarterback. 10 TDs on the season to only 3 picks. That gives me just cause to believe that Louisiana is going to pick up win number 5. And as much as I like App State, they'll play desperate. They're going to need to play desperate the rest of the way if they want to be back in the conversation. Otherwise, they're going to be off the tree this year too. But I am taking the Ragin' Cajuns at home. Oregon State and Nevada. It hurts me to make this pick simply because Oregon State has a better record than Nevada. So there you go. This one here I am excited to pick because you have, Vanderbilt and Kentucky both 3-2. Is Vanderbilt for real now? I don't know the schedule right off the top, but I'm going to do myself a favor here and give you an idea what my man Diego Pavia, who you guys first got to know about the growing legend that is Diego Pavia 2 seasons ago when he quarterbacked New Mexico State to its first bowl win ever. Here's what they got going forward. They got Ball State at home. They go to Texas. Or no, they get Texas at home. I'm sorry. They get Texas at home. Oh, ho, ho, ho. That might be... Cross that bridge when we get to it. I said Ball State at home, Texas at home. They might steal one at Auburn. Might. South Carolina at home, LSU on the road, and Tennessee at home. And Kentucky, meanwhile, I look at their schedule, and they go to Florida. They get Auburn at home, at Tennessee, which could potentially mean black jerseys at Rocky Top. Murray State at home. They should win that one. They go to Texas, and they get Louisville at home. So this game here sets off the first domino where all the other dominoes will fall. To the winner goes an improved record. To the loser, I got some work to do. Now, Kentucky has pulled off 2, who did they beat this year? I can't remember who they beat. Oh, Ole Miss. They gave Georgia some problems. They beat Ole Miss, which you knew it was going to come sooner or later. Now, where Vanderbilt's concerned, has the hangover reached its end? Who am I picking? This is a tough one. It is a tough one. In years past, this pick would have been over about 2 minutes ago. But I had to really, look at things a little thoroughly and trying to figure out exactly if this game here might make a difference down the road. This is probably the one game I think where Vanderbilt almost has to treat it like a must-win, because when you consider they have to play Ball State and Murray State, they should win those. If they beat Auburn, that would totally make their season and would give them bowl eligibility. I would love to see that happen. However, I am taking Kentucky. Vanderbilt will get their wins elsewhere, but Kentucky strikes me as a team that will continue to feed on the tougher competition. That much I can say and not feel the least bit guilty. So that's what we're going with. Now, we got 2 more picks to make before we sign off. And we'll get to them right now with Marshall and Georgia Southern. This is another one where I could easily dive into their schedules, find out who they're playing down the road, and then draw my own conclusions. But I'm a Marshall believer, and I'm picking them. Picking them on the road. It'll be a tough one, but I'm going to pick them. Because, that part of me believes, and I still believe it wholeheartedly. They'll be a bowl team, just as they've been for however many years. And one of these days, I'm going to have to check and see exactly how many years they've gone to a bowl since becoming a major FBS school. And now the final pick of our helmet selections for Week 7, Boise State and Hawaii. Ashton Genty and the boys from Boise. For all the night owls and the nocturnals who plan to stay up past 11 o'clock Saturday night, which would be, by and large, Sunday morning. Oh, it'll be fun. Boise State. I'm liking what I'm seeing from them. And quite personally, I don't think any quarterback, you could throw every name at me: Carson Beck, Quinn Ewers, Jackson Dart, Dylan Gabriel, even from Oregon, Will Howard of Ohio State, Alex Urgi from Michigan. Just thought I'd throw that in there. You could throw me any name out there. It is high time that the skill position guy gets the Heisman this year. Genty's been doing so much. I don't know what the numbers say, but I'm going to go ahead and give them to you. By the way, that is an 11 o'clock kick. Genty already 1,031 yards rushing, 16 touchdowns. 16 touchdowns in 5 games. I'm going to go ahead and do the math here. To give you an idea, they've only played 5 games. He is averaging 206.2 yards a game. That is remarkable. Now, I know there's, the glass half empty crowd will say, well, they didn't play anybody. Doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. If your defense can't stop them, then what good is your defense? It's not his fault that he plays at Boise State. I'm sure if he had to make a choice, he'd still go to Boise State. He's thriving out there, and it shows. The stats don't lie, people. That's fact-checking. So I'm riding with Boise State, probably for the rest of the season. Don't believe me? I'll wear the hoodie next time. I got the hoodie here. Unfortunately, it's going to have to wait because we got some business to attend to at Cameron Stadium in the morning for all the lanyard selections, including the 2 big ones on the board. And believe me, if there was a reason why I haven't been on with you guys in front of the camera, it's because of Texas and Oklahoma and Ohio State and Oregon. Plus, we got, Stanford and Notre Dame, Washington and Iowa, Penn State and USC, Ole Miss and LSU. Well, that one there, shoot. If there was a bowl for them, I'd call it the Waste Management Bowl, and that's specifically for the 2 coaches who are nothing more than a waste of my time just in talking about them. But I'm going to have to because it's a big one tomorrow. Nevertheless, we have those matchups. We also have a top 10 FCS matchup between number 8 Idaho and number 3 Montana State. We have all those games and all the lanyards that correspond with them and so much more. So until tomorrow, where I will be broadcasting live on Facebook from Cameron Stadium, Brandon Rutherman signing off for the College Football Kickoff Show. See you in the morning.